So what's the biggest lie you're telling yourself? Really? The biggest lie? Well, one of the biggest lies I hear people telling themselves every day is that they can't do it. And I get it. Life has its share of challenges, and sometimes things explode. Sometimes literally, sometimes metaphorically. And when that happens, there are only two kinds of people. Those who have the agility to survive the explosion, and those who get crushed by the weight of all the falling pieces. Something happened in 1945 that changed the world forever. An explosion, a massive explosion of epic proportions that rocked the world everywhere. Am I talking about a literal explosion? Well, yes, I am. This is a video about how Japan recovered from the nuclear strikes on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the aftermath of World War II. And it's also about the Japanese philosophies that brought Japan out of the worst economic crisis to the thriving economic superpower it is today. The same philosophies that took me, as a nurse, from 0 to 1. In an environment like nursing, when something unexpectedly completely derails a perfectly set up day, it feels like an explosion. Now, how do you pick up the pieces from an explosion like that? Well, let's see what Japan did. There were 3 principles that guided Japan in its reconstruction. The same 3 can produce amazing results for healthcare workers. The new nurse that feels like he or she is about to die from the stress of the chaos. And honestly, even for the veteran nurse that feels completely burned out. These philosophies are Wabi-sabi, Kaizen, and Hara. Together, they produce discipline, stamina, and execution. First, you need to have the courage to start, even if it doesn't turn out to be perfect, and then be willing to continuously improve. And finally, have the stamina to see it through. If you can do these 3 things well, you're well prepared to succeed at basically everything. People like to tell you that it can't be done, and not everything should be done. But if you have a good enough reason, a good enough why, the line between can't and can usually gets erased by one dedicated son of a gun who's determined to fight with his teeth and his nails until he wins. The haters in 1945 would have said, hey, Japan, you can't become an economic powerhouse. So if you have your own haters today, make a commitment to yourself to finish this video all the way through. If you finish this video all the way through, you can own the techniques that Japan used, and you can use them to get the naysayers out of your head and get yourself ready for the fight of your life. New nurses get told they're not good enough, not smart enough. Old nurses get told their prime is past. Don't listen to them. The first technique we have on this list is Wabi-sabi. Goes for execution.
It's got wabi-sabi.
You can't win an argument by making up words.
Wabi-sabi is the Japanese philosophy of finding beauty in imperfection. And in nursing, you will need it because imperfection is everywhere. When I started nursing, I was overwhelmed with everything at once. The phone ringing here, patient screaming there, crisis in one room, and a preceptor heckling me in another. I wanted to be the best, wanted everything to be perfect, but it wasn't going to happen. If you can't deal with the imperfect, you'll probably be stressed a lot in nursing. And that isn't to say that perfectionists can't do it. Far from it. Some of them are the best nurses, but it will help you to be realistic about what you can and can't do. Worrying about charting you haven't done yet won't help you while a life-threatening situation is falling apart in front of you. I'm not a psychologist, but I am a firm believer that part of what makes modern life so stressful is that there are so many distractions. And if you have a personality where you feel stressed when you can't check every box, you'll be much more likely to burn out worrying. And we know worrying doesn't help. Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? Jesus of Nazareth. So rather than worry about making everyone happy, having perfect bedside manner, getting charting done by the time you planned, when you hit a crisis, you're much better off taking the mindset that I call the jungle cat. Now, before I get into that, let me say this. I didn't start out as someone that thinks well on my feet. I was the last out of every science lab in college. I struggled to think in 3 dimensions as a resident. If you saw me in the hospital or in jiu-jitsu or anything else that I had to push my way outside my uncoordinated comfort zone to get good at it, if you saw me today, you might not think that guy's uncoordinated. That guy doesn't think quick. Because these reflexes, these strides, they can be learned, but you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable to get there. And the transition to jungle cat started the minute I stepped out of school. Book smart, yes. Coordinated, not so much. Because when you get to nursing, you have to think in real time, in 3 dimensions, and nothing will ever go according to plan. When things fall apart, you have to think like a jungle cat. A, B, C. Airway, breathing, circulation. Protect the patient, protect yourself, and forget everything else but surviving until you fix the situation. Don't worry about being the best nurse. Worry about the nurse that kept their patients alive through the shift. The patients that we at least did right by so that not to let harm come to them when it was avoidable. So in other words, it's like this. I'm me. I'm the nurse. Paralysis by analysis. Everything's happening at once. The patient goes into VTAC while I'm up to my elbows in incontinence. The phone starts ringing in my pocket and I can't even grab it because my hands are full. The manager comes to tell me that the patient in room 24 is very unhappy with me. Haven't charted at all this shift. But honestly, who cares? Only one of these things is life-threatening in the moment. And I'm not saying saying this isn't all a priority, but I can actually simplify this pretty quick. Answer the phone, make sure it's not critical, walk and talk, tell the manager I'll get back with him. Takes 20 seconds. Forget about the charting. It'll get done later. All of my energy right now is going into that VTAC, jungle cat, protect myself, the patient, and my license. Everything else can probably go further down the priority list. And that's not legal advice, but that's roughly what I would do in a lot of situations like that. Once you dumb it down to know what's most important, you don't have to be paralyzed by the analysis of all the little minutia that push you to your limit. We do the best we can. At the end of the day, we're all broken, we're all mortal. We don't win by making everything perfect. We win when we continuously improve while accepting that perfection will likely always be out of reach, and by accepting the beauty of the imperfect. And that takes courage. Another thing about Wabi-sabi is the courage to try when it doesn't make sense, but it is necessary. Sony started out making cassette tapes using some metal flakes and an iron skillet. The crazy thing is, their tape worked. It sucked, but it worked. And the CEO of Sony, when he was offered a massive contract to sell the transistor radios, but under another company's name, to the dismay of his peers, he refused. But with the conviction to say, in 50 years' time, we will have made Sony as famous a company as yours. And I guess Sony showed what a small Japanese company could do with basically nothing. Inspiring. Sometimes all it takes is the courage to take the first imperfect step. Second, we have Kaizen, discipline. While we accept the imperfection, we don't strive for more of it. We try to make things better. Kaizen is the mindset that made Toyota from a broken, forgotten company to one of the best manufacturers of cars on the planet. And the idea is simple. Do one thing better every single day. If you can get 1% better every day for a year, by the end of 365 days, you will be magnitudes better than you were at the beginning. Toyota quickly learned that as a struggling company on the brink of failure, they could afford basically no waste. They made small, simple changes over time that let them catch errors made much earlier in the process, like with the stop the line philosophy. It was considered a kind of crazy philosophy at the time to let any employee stop production, but it empowered the workers to catch errors. As a result, where other manufacturers were building full models with a defect still in them, by the time they realized they had to backtrack, Toyota caught the vast majority of the mistakes early on, saving them small fortunes. For a nurse, a similar way to do this is by making sure that you set yourself up well for success the first time. And where it makes sense, try to get care clustered so that you don't have to make as many little trips. As in when you're in a room and you need to give meds, empty a Foley, and do wound care. If it's safe, do all of that in one trip rather than give the meds and then go back later for the other two things. And remember, sometimes slow is fast.
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. For what it's worth. One more time around?
If you take the time to do it right, you'll probably get time dividends back for the rest of your shift. As an example, if I start a shift fast, I save time, but I accidentally lose a narcotic because I was going too fast, well, I'm probably going to spend minimum an hour looking for that narcotic. And I save 5 minutes passing meds, but I lost a whole hour searching through trash cans and the entire floor trying to find that one narcotic. But if I do everything carefully, I take an extra 10 minutes per patient, I still get it done on time, but I make 0 mistakes. There's a whole lot less backtracking for me to do there. And if you get this right, you can set yourself apart just like Toyota did. Their Kaizen philosophy was massively effective. After years of improvements with Toyota, the business was thriving. And Americans were trying to learn from them. They came to see Toyota's assembly line and noticed that Toyota didn't do that traditional, typical final hammer tap adjust to make sure that the doors fit perfectly when the car was assembled. And they asked, hey, when do you make sure that the car doors fit exactly to the car? And the puzzled Toyota representative replied, well, we make sure that they fit precisely when we design them. And that's Kaizen. Build it right from the start, improve it every day, and you won't need the extra hammer tap. A lot of nurses start out with a chip on their shoulder. Some of them don't think they're smart enough. Some of them, like me, struggle to think on their feet. But here's what I've learned. It's not the nurses that improve the fastest that end up the best. It's the ones that improve the longest. Kaizen. Third, we have Hara, Hachi, stamina. So now we have the continuous improvement of Kaizen and the jungle cat execution of Wabi-sabi. Let's talk about how to lock in for the long haul, because none of it matters if you burn out in year 3. They say 10,000 hours to mastery. So let's think about nursing in the long term. 10 years of nursing is 20,000 hours. Mastery times 2. 20 years is mastery times 4. 40,000 hours. Some people do this for 40 to 60 years. Imagine the boss level nursing you could do. But to do that, you have to actually get there. So we need stamina. Hara Hachibu is a Japanese ideal that basically means to eat until about 80% full. Japan is home to the world's largest percentage of super centenarians, people over 100. People who have learned to conserve resources. And in nursing, you always want to have at least 20% left in the tank. I've seen nurses work themselves to the bone, and I'm all for going the extra mile, but I'm a firm believer that we need to take care of ourselves and each other if we're going to take care of anyone else.
I can take care of myself just fine, all right?
No.
In fact, many of the best companies have found that the best results come from treating their employees well. On the American side of companies, Continental Airlines turned around their company by giving employees a bonus check, intentionally separated from the paycheck, for every month that they were meeting their goals. Costco grew into an economic powerhouse with a philosophy of paying their people 40% above the market rate. So if you take care of yourself and your team, it will yield better results. For me personally, I try never to take work home with me. I like watching stand-up comedy when I get off a shift, and everyone needs time to decompress. I also find it very helpful to laugh whenever possible during a shift. A lot of it is framing. It hits different when you're in a situation and you know it hurts in the moment, but you'll probably be able to laugh about it later. One time I remember being stressed about a shift and then going to pull meds and thinking, oh man, already 3 nurses in there taking their sweet time. But then I go in and I know I have to make a joke or I'm going to spiral, and I don't want to spiral. So I say, oh man, it's a party in here. Anybody got any friends we can invite? And everyone laughs. If I've learned one thing, it's that we all need humor in healthcare. It keeps us sane. So take a hint from your longevity experts, the Japanese, and take care of yourself so you can work for 40 years instead of burning out in 4. So to finish up here, Kaizen, Wabi-sabi, Hara, Hachi, discipline, execution, stamina, 3 principles that rebuild a nation, 3 principles that can rebuild a shift, a career, a mindset. It is a long road for nursing and other healthcare jobs like it. People will say it's too hard. A lot of people will give up on bedside along the way. But these Japanese philosophies have helped me a lot so far, and I believe that they can help you too. The other thing that makes me hopeful, even though bedside is painful, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, went to give a talk in front of Stanford students. And while we're not talking about a Japanese company right now, what he said next is true to the mindset that brought Japan out of the ashes of defeat. Jensen Huang says the best he can hope for the students moving forward is suffering as much as possible. And I guess most of us won't understand that quite like the CEO of the world's largest company. But I am convinced that most things worth doing come with a cost. Sometimes the highest costs come with the highest payoffs. And I think with nursing and healthcare, the payoff in dollars per hour and job security and the impact we leave in helping other people is worth the pain that often comes with being at the bedside. Don't stop learning. Don't stop improving. Don't let fear stop you from taking the first step. If you appreciate content like this, go ahead and page me. Hit that subscribe button. We're trying so hard to get to 1,000 subscribers right now, and if you do that, I promise to make these videos as impactful and meaningful as I can and make them better and better every month. Thank you.